Okay. It seems like that we are live now. Maybe we'll just wait a couple more seconds to for all the participants and registered people. Okay, guys. So again, hello everyone. First question: are you seeing us and hearing us correctly? Please write the answer in the chat section if you may. It will be helpful for us. Yes, amazing. Okay, so where are you from, guys? Again, we'll test the chat section a bit. Yes, cool. Thank you, Enrique. Chicago. That's cool. Okay, amazing. Portugal, UK. So, whole the world is with us. Peru, UK. Amazing, guys. I'm glad that you have joined us today. So, cool. Remember to click and subscribe our Executive Automats YouTube channel. I'm Rafał Noyszewski, and I will be your moderator for today's webinar, D365 FO FSCM licensing, estimation, optimization, and common issues. So again, I am glad that you have joined us. Just one thing before we will get started, the chat section is on, so you can ask the question during the webinar. Also, you're recording the session, so you will receive a link to the recording to the email address that you have registered with. So today with me, Bartosz Piech, our product manager of the Executive Automats framework. So Executive Automats and Executive Automats security setup. And moving forward to today's webinar agenda, first we will show you the license estimation. So what is the difference between standard and custom roles in Dynamics 365 Finance and Operations? Afterwards, we'll move to the point which will address how we can optimize license on particular example. Then we'll move to the common issues which we are usually having with licensing of the D365 Finance and Operations environment. Last but not least, live question and answer session. So, Bart, the stage is yours. And we are moving to the first point of the agenda.
Thank you so much, Raf, for the introduction. Hello, everybody. Super glad that we have so many people today. We're going to walk you through a few concepts here today. We're going to walk through some standard elements that you have to consider to understand the concept of licensing model in finance and operations, or finance and supply chain management. So we're going to talk a lot about the security today, and feel to ask as many questions as you've got within the current moment on the chat or on the Q&A. We're going to just gather the questions and try to respond to them. We know that the licensing in F&O is a hard topic. We know that there are a lot of common issues. Being frank with you today, we've been just caught between two delegations from Paris in France and Copenhagen. So we didn't have too much time to prepare this, but I think this is going to be a quite valuable session. We are doing, of course, also the security sessions with our customers. Security sessions, I mean by that, explanations and strategy planning to make sure that they're going to have a common and complex approach on security for small implementations and very big one across the globe. So there is a lot to discuss. And the first thing, what we're gonna do is simply the explanation of the standard concept of roles, duties, and the privileges. So as you know, in finance and operations, we've got the roles, which are the biggest groups of security access which is applied to the user, and the roles contains of duties and privileges, and they actually contain those smaller objects, which is the entry points, those smaller objects which are service operations, and much more detailed elements. And based on that, the system calculates for you the licensing. So if you've got 10 users in the system and they've got different set of roles, system extracts the entry points which are applied to the user, and then it tells what kind of license level is applied to the specific role. It can happen that, of course, one role will be super expensive because it has very broad access, and some smaller operations, somebody with less complicated roles, they will have just team member activity license. So you're going to have significant difference in the cost. Coming to the next slide, you will see that, Raf, if you can just switch. Thank you. You will see that the licensing model in the current system is kind of in the transition. In the previous months, in the last year, we had that operation license. We had no elements like attachments. There was just operations, team activity, and team member. And these elements, simply saying, they were quite clear because they were with us from AX 2012. So we were able to estimate and understand that model quite long term now. In the current finance and operation model, if you are switching to this, the licensing model is different. You've got your basic license, which can be a basic finance, basic projects, basic SCM, which is the top level, which right now is equal to the old operations. And you've got attachments. So your account, if you are considering to think about how much you're going to pay for one user, you have to pay for somebody for the basic license plus potential attachments, and this builds an end value that you pay for the user. You are actually the licensing model is quite more complicated. There are some standard reports in the system which are summarizing this, but they are not pretty straightforward, and they are waiting for an upgrade which will simplify the model as well. So right now we are definitely in transition between those two licensing models. If you're going to be interested, we can take a look on where to find these standard reports at the end of the session, so we can address some questions. So moving forward, I would love to jump in with you to Miro, which I've prepared for you, to explain it a little bit more in detail, what I meant by the standard and custom role. We'll just need to switch the presentation. Thank you. So we've got two users in the system. We've got the person which is using the standard roles. In that case, we're going to take our famous Jimmy Kimmel, and the custom role, which is Matt Damon, never invited. We want to think about standard roles which are built on the APQC sort of concept in Dynamics. We can have some assumptions that this standard role is a sales representative. This custom role, Matt, is also sales representative. These two people, they've got different roles. There was one role called sales representative coming from the standard, and other one, it is a custom sales representative. And what is the difference? The difference is that if you're going to apply a standard role for our Jimmy account, Jimmy will have over 2,047 entry points. So entry point meaning that in practice, there's going to be 2,000 functionalities, buttons, some menu items, a lot of elements that the person sees in the system. And actually, you are paying for elements. You're paying for all of those accesses. And Matt, on the other hand, has 21 entry points because we've done here an extraction. We've done here a workshop with the sales representative to understand what are the key responsibilities of the specific person. And we've been able to identify that these are 21 elements, so 1% of a difference. And in that particular example, you are paying for over a basic license, and in here, this is activity. Basic license right now is, from the pricing release, about $159 per month, whereas the custom role will be more like a $20. So the difference is significant. And if you think about how it works in the system, how it looks like from the standard one, you see here on the top, the person has multiple functionalities available, just a very quick comparison, whereas the custom role sees just simple ones, because these ones which are used, these are the ones which the business told us that they need. And actually, by saying this, you are able to not only benefit from the license optimization, because clearly this optimizes the user experience, user interface. The user is not distracted by multiple functionalities. They're going to see only core functionalities that they do. And the core point or key element, how to perform this operation, is to understand the processes. So understand what that specific person is doing in your organization. And how to do that, I'm going to walk you through a concept, a model of process, kind of a process mining maybe, or process discovery, just to make sure that our roles are equal to our company processes. So I'm going to switch to the second Miro board. The optimization we do with our customers is very, very straightforward. What we do, we're trying to understand your organization hierarchy, organization model, by outlining different persons, different people which are working in the company, different positions, to be more exact. And underneath each position, we are trying to extract their own responsibilities. So we very often talk with subject matter experts, we talk with business process owners to ask them what they do. And they are preparing for us that specific process owner card, process list they own. And they also, of course, explain step by step how to do the specific process, which is a nice input for us to understand what they do. And every process they perform, every process they maintain, this will be a duty converted in the system. So we want to do a very easy connection, one process equal one duty, and do that throughout your whole system, throughout the whole organization. So we've got Matt, once again here, travel and logistics clerk. We have all processes and duties. We've got project manager, the same, process list and duties. And then we've got Sarah Silverman, another processes, another duties. So we want to understand precisely what they do. And then we build for these people one role. So the concept is that ideally, one person working in an organization has just one role to maintain. So then the role, understood by position, can be shared for whole company, for everybody on the project management role. They're going to have one specific role, and they're going to maintain, and changes are also delivered everywhere. So one change has direct impact on your whole organization. The process of the distribution and identification
Bart,
is also
sorry that I'm jumping in, Bart, here, because I see that our attendees have an issue to read the diagrams. Can you, zoom in
not everybody.
a bit?
We've got confirmation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't know. Okay, guys,
Yeah.
just confirm us if everything is visible for you guys. Just
so. Yeah. In the meantime, you can confirm. I'll continue, as there are some people which can see them clearly. If there's going to be a continuation of this problem, we can have a more dedicated session for people which are having issues with the screen, with the visibility of our screen. I apologize for that. So once again, the methodology is very simple but powerful. We want to do the position distribution, so that organization hierarchy. Then we do identify the processes which we walk through together. Then we record these processes using Task Recorder or our tool Executive Automats, some standard or some custom applications. Then we convert processes to security, which means that each of these processes outline it. We're going to extract entry points from them, build the duty, And these duties, they're going to be converted to role. Then we do a license check. Of course, we can verify if licenses are optimized. I will get to that point a little bit later. We are doing something called a UAT security. A UAT security is the moment where, when we talk with the business, with Jimmy Kimmel in that case, and we understand it, we understood what they do. We've got a clear vision of the person responsibilities. And we want to make sure that when we're going to convert these processes to role, we'll be able to ask Jimmy to go through all his processes and confirm on the paper a sign off that these processes are doable and they don't need to do anything else. We need the UAT security phase just to make sure that they after we're going to deploy this security layer to production, there will be no issue about that. And working on security, from one hand, continuing this logic of the less is more or the least privilege, it can generate you a lot of savings, but also it can generate the troubles and frustration on the users, because they can be used to do some operations which they shouldn't do. So you're going to find out some nice effective findings and optimizations in your company, rebuilding your security layer. So the UAT security can identify for you a sign-off, can identify if everything that you planned or discussed with the user is signed. If there are some gaps, of course, we have to come back, record missed process, rebuild, and then when we are doing the rebuilding, we are able to build a security layer. And this is a very important step as well. We highly recommend to have a separate environment, a DevBox machine, where you store your security layer for production refreshes, to have the backup. We are saying that because the AX 2012 versus finance and operations changed a lot. And if you will not secure these tables, which are consisting the security setup, you may lose them. And it is good to have a fresh somewhere image to always replace some environments. I can show you the structure of the particular environments that we work typically on as well, to have like a broad vision. So after the update to the security layer, we switch to the next position and we do another process identification. So we simply move from one position to another position to another position, circulating back through the whole organization, just to make sure that we've got every role created, and every role will be custom. So this whole operations that we do here, this is actually done on the security development environment, so-called development sec or SDE. And then it is moved to the UAT security, so verification, the sign-off, and of course our production if everything is good. So this is just a taste, maybe a little bit, but I want to give you a concept, because there are no documentations on official Microsoft websites or methodologies around security build. So this can be quite effective. And if you're going to be interested just in this part, we can clearly have a quick workshops with you to walk you through and to show you some potential savings around that. Let's go back to the web slides. And so in finance and operations, the security, the common issues about the whole security part, they are quite broad. They start with the problem that it takes months to do the project, because standard doesn't give you some specific tool set which will build with you roles and duties. And the problem is that even though there is some standard extraction from the processes, it is very basic and it doesn't give you a wide scope of entry points like display items, output items, and code permissions. So either way, you will need to use Visual Studio to do that exercise. You have to have the technical resources to develop the roles, and not all companies, they've got that. So this might be a significant problem because you'll be not able to have for a few months, 6 months plus, a technical person dedicated 100% for the security elements. And those two elements, those two common issues which are outlined, it can be solved by software like ours, our security setup wizard. And in the moment after the slide, I'm going to show you how easily you can extract security out of the business process. So you'll be able to understand the license cost as well as the scope of the access needed. Another issue which is very known is the basic license and operations in the current model. What does it mean? As previously mentioned, the Microsoft is in transition between operations model and the basic model. And in this current moment, on your newest update on finance and operations, you might find yourself in a situation where you've got your account with operational, so old license, and the new license model. So it is not super clear for somebody to understand what kind of license level the person needs, because this is kind of a mix. And Microsoft told us that they are working on fixes for that, and the whole system will be rebuilt to the current basic license model. So that's the plan, but we haven't heard about exact time and date where we're going to expect that. So now, if you have the situation where the operations are in game, you have to kind of make a guessing game in which area it is placed. If it is SCM, you have to kind of replace that this is going to be SCM and count one more license for SCM or finance, basic SCM, basic finance in the specific area, because the standard of the system doesn't give you this functionality. And if Microsoft will come to you and ask, and they will run the report of licensing count, they will ask for, they will definitely ask you for purchasing more licenses if you're going to be, not complying with your assumptions. Maybe to explain that as well, Microsoft can, in any moment of your life goal, sort of after your go live, they can come in, run the report, and make sure that you are compliant with your current licenses you've purchased, which means that they can ask you to purchase more licenses if you are not complying. Of course, if you have less users than licenses, that's kind of a good situation, but you are overpaying. So for the businesses, it is not perfect. You want to be in that sweet spot, but it's kind of very hard to get that. What else we've got? My user is counted as basic finance just because of few entry points. So that's kind of a nice example. So imagine that our account sales representative has 21 entry points, and we are not able to not able to make the optimization because let's say we've got 100 those sales representatives working in the system, and they are the highest license for us, the basic finance, just because they've got those 2 or 3 entry points. And I've got that possibility to take them from $159 per month for 100 users, quite of the amount for each month. I can drag them down to team member only if I'm going to make some process optimization. So I can take out access, which is magnifying their license. So that's the possible optimization you can do. It has direct impact on the business. So you have to calculate if that optimization is actually worth to do that. I can, from 100 sales people, I can find out that the licensing level is sort of magnified just by, let's say, function, which can be outsourced to another department or one person, which can then distribute the knowledge or work for those sales for sales department. And I'm going to have 100 people on the lower license. And through the savings, I can actually hire a person to do that. So this is all about the scale. And if you are able to make the process optimization and leverage that against the licenses, this might be a nice win. This also is something we work with the companies as a kind of security workshops. We always start from identifying where is the biggest problem. I mean by that, how many people are working in this specific department, and we're trying to answer the question if we are able to lower down their licenses by process optimization or system optimization. We need to become SOX compliant, and it is possible with current duties. If you are in the situation when you have to be SOX compliant, so you have to build the segregation of duty model, you can't do that with the standard duties. I mean, it will be very hard for you because you don't know exactly what is inside. So in order to build a SOX compliance level, an SOD level, which will be understandable, we would highly recommend to use the organization structure, extraction, and building the custom duties, because then you will be able to make that security layer in a very wise way. You'll be able to tell what is inside of the duty, so the rules against the duties will be very easy to build. I mean, this is definitely a one-person full-time job or even more for big organizations. But if you have to be SOX compliant, this approach of the process distribution, identification, building duties will work definitely for you. Where to develop security and how to test it with the business in organized way. This common issue, and by the way, these all issues we took them down from the forums, from meetings we had with customers. So that's why this is kind of a mixed match from the Q&A. To develop a security layer, we will definitely recommend you to build the Dev security machine, which will be an effective combination to focus only on security area, to invite their business accounts, business users, and you will not have problems with development at the same moment. Because if you are developing your security on Dev machines, very often developers are distracting the work, and there is a huge chaos. That's why to build an organized security or in organized way, the identification security with the methodology we've shown should be done on the development, security development environment, SDE, so-called. And with that being said, before we're going to jump into Q&A, I just want to show you a quick explanation of...
Maybe one thing before that, if I may, Bart here. Guys, because as Bart said, we are willing to show you what we have did so far in this webinar on your private demo session and proof of concept. So feel free to sign up for free POC and demo session of our tool with the following link, which you will see in the few seconds in the chat section. Use that, and we will meet each other on the Teams meeting, and we will be able to show you and I would say prove you what is the concept of our tool. So feel free to do so. And Bart, again, to you.
Thank you so much, Raf. So the extraction and concept of license calculation was simplified a lot with the tool we've created lately. This is the second year of being present in finance and operations, and we've got very nice successes, including customer which saved over 100k euros per year through the licenses optimization. And just want to, in a few seconds, show you how it works. We are calculating licenses for everybody in the organization, building this kind of a quick summary. How many basic licenses, how many basic SCM, basic commerce projects you need for your current setup. You can calculate the price because you can set your current pricing from your partner. So you can calculate what is your TCO from the licensing perspective. This plus understanding that specific people, they've got very costful set of the roles because they are basic finance and they've got practically most of the attachments. So you are able to understand what they do. You can exclude some system admins. You can exclude some groups which are not counted for licensing as well. So there are some more functionalities to help you out, be very precise on the way how you build your access in the system. And in the moment where you've got some specific person which works, let's say, in warehouse, and it does some very simple processes like pick and pack, or it creates or does some counting in the warehouse, and you see clearly that the person is very costful. From that, you can make a quick audit to make a potential savings across your organization. So this can be very helpful, and there is nothing like that in the standard which works the same way. And I've mentioned the security roles creation and duty creation. You've got the possibility to set up your whole organization structure on the left hand side, to build your areas of the business like sales, purchases, finance, administration, and underneath which we can build some people which are working like sales manager. And I can tell that sales manager is handling 4 processes in finance and operations. So I know that this specific process, the creating of new project, to do that, I need several entry points, actually 5 of them, and I can create for that specific process one specific duty. For another project, another process like creating project budget, I need another duty, and this is consisting the 3 entry points. For the versioning, another 4 entry points, and project table 2 entry points. So this is a specific sales manager can sort of focus on the project section, and I know that this will be for me quite optimized license. This will be activity, or if it's going to be view only team member. So I got a lot of information, and it is very quick for me to identify what I need for that particular process. How I'm defining these sort of processes the person handles. I can record them by task recording, so standard tool, or executive automats. So if you are building your regression plan, sanity check, you are able to record your whole test plan and then reuse what you've done for testing to extract the security. This is one of the biggest synergy and side effect or positive side effect you can gain from being compliant or prepared for one version cycle of Dynamics, and also benefit from security in the same moment. If you're going to record any business process with task recording, you can simply browse it. You can pick it here, include table permissions and control permissions. These are 2 levels. We've got also extra to make sure that you are extracting everything. And then I can tell that for fixed asset creation, I need just 3 specific entry points. And now I can tell the system, all right, I would love to create new duty for that, and it's going to be fixed asset creation webinar. If I'm going to do that, system will automatically create the duty, and I'll be able to apply it to the role. And thanks to that, we'll be able to check if our sales manager right now can do fixed asset creation. Just to show you, in the security configuration, we're going to have now the duty. Also the unpublished objects. So this is the list of all changes that we are just publishing. Our additional process changed the sales manager role, so I can publish all elements. And right now we can dive into duties to show you the fresh duty that we created out of the process. Can do quick filtering starting with F. A. And we've got FA creation with out-of-the-box privilege with the same name for simplification. And we see here references to controls, if they are applied as well. I think on the asset table that we're going to have definitely some controls. Yeah, there is some financial dimensions, code permissions applied. So thanks to that quick identification, there was no need for developer to come in. There was no need for somebody technical supervising me. What I've done, I simply recorded my business process. I have extracted the security, and now I can apply this to the business user so they can work and check for me if this role works for them. You can practically record any process with this task recorder, or if you've got your executive automats, you can load to the environment your regression plan, as mentioned. This and much more of licenses that we've got, like cross-checking of potential danger. So if in your organization somebody did some illegal transaction, you can find out who else has the same access. That's another benefit to make sure that everything is compliant. And in this quarter, we're going to run a new enhancement, new feature, so-called a firefighter. For those of you who knows the SAP, it will be quite clear. The firefighter concept is a possibility to supervise sessions which are authorized to help on the production system. What I mean by this, if you are running into an issue on your production system, like there is some transaction to be fixed or some bad job just died, and you need some consultant or contractor to jump into your production system, and this is an external person without NDAs or without some supervision, we are kind of in danger because we don't know what that person will do. If the person will do fix for your environment, if they're going to correct some report, they're going to correct some data, that's good. But what if they're going to do some data defraudation? They're going to make a trial balance print, reporting print, and they're going to use that. That's kind of one of the biggest problem in audits, that we can't control what these people are doing. And to secure this problem, we are launching a functionality called the Firefighter. So you are able to create a session which will be supervised. So you can create a 4-hour session, for supervised sort of correction for that firefighter. And after 4 hours, it's going to be expiring. And then after expiring, you get the report which outlines every click, every interaction of the system from the firefighter. So you know how exactly the person fixed the environment, and you know exactly if the person haven't done anything else. So this is the firefighting concept. If you're going to be interested to learn more about that, we can walk you through the MVP, which we are doing now with our early bird access customers. But if you're going to Google for SAP Firefighter also, you're going to understand more on SAP existing documentations. So lastly, maybe it is good to mention that this module, whole executive automate for security setup, comes as a deployable package. We are sharing that the POC, so you can deploy this on your environment, and for 2 weeks just play with it, make some optimization, and see how the concept works. And then we can help you out over some workshops how to do more. And yeah, there's much more to show you, but since we've got some questions already, I would love to respond to them. So Rafael, you can fire away the Q&A.
Yeah, that's correct. One thing which is worth mentioning here: remember to click on the link to reserve yourself. I would say reserve the seat for demo session of the executive automat security setup with proof of concept, like Pat said. So following to the question answers section, we'll check the chat, and yes, there's a first question. I'll just show it right now. Yeah, are you basically saying that licensing can be used as the layer of security in finance and operations?
Licensing can be used.
I don't know if I totally understood that.
So the security layer, the licensing comes, the calculation of the licenses comes out of the security. So I was maybe rephrasing that. I was saying that you can keep your security layer on a separate environment, so-called a security layer. This has sort of this whole security layer. If you're going to extract the role combination and entry points, you'll be able to extract information which role has which licenses level, and then you'll be able to tell that this layer has specific number of specific licenses, and you will know the TCO of the licenses for the security layer. And the recommendation would be to keep it separate, just to make sure that there will be specific secure point where you will have no chance to lose this configuration, and there will be nobody making unauthorized changes. I hope that answers the question.
Thank you, Bart. There's another question from Riza. If someone builds their security model using your tool, how do they move it from one environment to another? My apology for getting ahead of you.
Thank you so much, Riza, for those questions. So we are moving that by XMLs, and this is the thing that there was a difference in 2012 and finance and operations, the way how security works. And right now in F&O, we work on the table concept. So all of your configurations to your table, to your security changes, to your roles, duties, and privileges, they are stored in the table, and you can use our functionality for extracting one role from the application and take it to another one, or you can take the whole security customization layer and push it on another environment. But the whole layer movement means that you will lose all changes on the environment where you are moving the layer to. So you have to be kind of aware that you are losing that, and this has to be a fully aware action that we planned an aware action, that we are taking environment A security layer and moving to environment B. So there will be new, totally new configuration on environment B. Yeah.
Thank you, Bart. There is a third question.
Function that does that, you can find it under data in the security configuration.
Okay.
Exactly, yes. Indeed, in the security configuration, that I was referring that. Thank you, Keenan Al-Mahani, for explaining that. Indeed, in the security configuration, this is the functionality I was referring to move security model.
Okay, we have another question from Riza. Assuming this is all based on the roles-based security model in D365, how would you implement a scenario like using this concept? Okay, this is quite a long one. The role is created for finance managers with perms to access financial reports. But within that role, some managers only need to see data from their department, while others need access to company-wide data.
So in finance and operations, there was a role-based security model, and that's the first level, first level of complications. The second, this is called XDSs and code permissions. So you can apply to the users additional level which will limit specific data, which means that specific user A will have access to one data set or data query, another one will have access to another data query. So you are able to manage your security access by building those exceptions. The same happens for the fields. If you're going to take a look on the sales table list page, header of the sales orders, you have 100 fields and you want to limit one, so it will be visible only for supervisors or managers. To do that, you can apply code permissions to it, and only specific person which has the code permission access will see those elements. So thankfully, the system gives you a lot of flexibility and a lot of preciseness in the accuracy on the security, but it is complicated. The XDSs and code permissions will need to have your technical people supervising these operations, because you will change some parameters on the form. So it has to come by deployable package to the system to maintain that. But this is something to remember, that you have to work with some advanced methods. But it is definitely possible, including, of course, entity limitation on the roles level. I think if you've got these precise questions, we can take a look on your example and help you over some quick half-an-hour workshop to find the best combination for you.
Thank you, Bart. The next question. If a user has 3 roles that are finance-based, do do the user need 3 license, or it's enough with 1 license?
Just one. So this is just one license. This is like you are extracting, you have 3 roles, so you are extracting entry points from 3 of them, and you are taking the highest one, which means that if you've got 3 roles, but only one will be basic finance, you pay just for that basic finance. And if everything else will be in finance, you pay just basic finance. If any one of the entry point will outreach to attachment like projects, SCM, you will need to purchase those attachments. So that's kind of a quite complex, but yeah, you are purchasing one license, which will be basic activity or team member for the account, and then more than one or more attachments for one account, which will build up you one person cost per month.
Okay, thank you, Bart. Thank you, Lynn. And we have quite a number of questions today. Making a journal entries is always finance or supply chain management?
It depends on which. It depends clearly on which journals, but yeah, in the majority it will be finance. But of course, there are journeys in the warehouse, so you're going to have SCM license as well. Yeah, that's kind of, maybe there is some follow up to it, but it depends where it is, in which module system. Maybe adding to this a bit. If you're going to go to a Visual Studio and you're going to open up any form, you'll be able to see that parameter of the license. And sometimes that depends on developer, because in General Ledger, you may have your in-house development, which will have even the project license. So this can be quite tricky. But if you're going to use standard, they are quite organized by module. So it won't be always like that.
Okay, the last question, I think, which we're having for today's session is, can you import AX 2012 security into D365 finance and operations?
So unfortunately not, due to the system structure. There is a total game changer on that. Then some roles and duties, they may sound the same, but there is no conversion functionality now. So if you are moving from 2012 to FNO, it is good if you have some company structure, some company process distribution, so you help yourself with building that. But definitely in the current moment, there are no import mechanisms, some conversion mechanisms which are known on the market. Talking about standard ISVs. But if you have something in 2012 security, you have to, it will be a nice opportunity to use it for the upgrade procedure.
Thank you, Bart. That's correct. That the last question which we have, is quite a fresh one, new one. Do code permissions mean that the user is going to have a different license? Company-wide access need operational license, while a department access can be accomplished using a team member license.
I need to read it once again for the code permissions mean that user have a different. Okay, so the first element, the code permission has different license. So the code permission is something very low, means that the code permission itself will not have the license included. The code permissions are more like an exception that you add on the top of the form. So maybe if Rafael, if I can share once again the screen, I'll explain that on an example. So the code permission in here, let's go to the SO header. So header. To access this specific form, if I'm going to go from information, this will be a sales table. sales table details, form name, sales table. And the important aspect is that this sales table has a license level. So if I'm going to add myself this sales table, and I'm going to use it with, let's say, create access, I'm going to have certain access level. Code permission comes a little bit later on. If I see already this specific form, developer could add here on, let's say, on discount, and on another field, but discount might be here, let's say critical. Developer could add on that field a code permission. So in order to see or edit or view this, I need to have that code permission. So this is like a lower level element which can be applied on any form, which practically means an entry point. So the code permission will be not referring connected or referring to any license cost. It will refer to possibility to make an exception on the form you see, the form you browse in Dynamics. I hope that explained the question, but let me just read the second part. The company-wide access needs an operations license, while department access. Yeah, so in that case, if you have the company-wide access needs operational license, and department access might be accomplished using the team member license. So I would say if you have in your organization kind of a global approach, and in departments you've got some variants that organization-wide you've got a role which is dedicated to handle specific module operations. You can build that, and we call it level 1, so operational organization level. Then we go down level 2, department level, and we build dedicated roles for local processes, department processes, just to make sure that we are distributing the rights only to specific people. If you're gonna build that level 1, 2, and maybe even 3 role structure, you'll be able to adjust the security access. But this breaks down a little bit the concept that you've got one role for one position. It is harder to maintain, but I've worked with companies from fashion industry which were going even to level 4. So there were local roles for local processes only, and local department processes only roles, which are building the more complex structure of roles. I think that's the perfect example to work on the workshops as well. So apologize for pronunciation. Marikar, if you want, we can have workshop on that as well, just to understand the concept. And we are doing those workshops very often, like half an hour, just to give you ideas. They are free of charge, just to listen to your needs, your problems you've got with licensing your model. For us, this is a perfect knowledge to share, because we've seen a lot through years of doing that security optimization and licensing.
And we have a lot of success also.
Exactly. There are some nice case studies. It might be a nice brainstorming session. So thank you so much for the question.
Guys, many thanks for this session. It was amazing. Thank you for joining us today, because we are just seeing that we are just nearby the ending of this today's session. So remember to reach us out via this link which we have shared on the chat section just a few minutes before, not a few minutes, but like 10-15 minutes before. And yeah, if also you have some direct questions, we can answer them. Feel free to write to me and my colleague from the sales department. We will be more than happy to jump with you into the topic and to respond to your all questions and help you to streamline your whole security setup configuration in Dynamics 365 Finance and Operations. Bart, many thanks. Love to work with you, guy. And yeah, this is it. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much. Enjoy the day. Thank you so much, Raf, for hosting us today. Have a good one.
Cheers. Bye.